The air was thick with humidity and disbelief. On August 8, 2022, the sanctity of Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate was shattered. FBI agents, armed with a search warrant, descended upon the opulent Palm Beach residence. It was an unprecedented event, a former president's home searched by the very government he once led. The nation watched, captivated and bewildered, as details of the raid trickled out. The target of the search classified documents that, according to the Justice Department, Trump had unlawfully removed from the White House. Documents that, by their very nature, contained some of the nation's most sensitive secrets. The implications were staggering. Had a former president sworn to uphold the Constitution jeopardized national security? The raid sent shockwaves through the political landscape. Trump, never one to shy away from the spotlight, immediately cried foul. He denounced the raid as a politically motivated witch hunt, an attempt by his enemies to tarnish his legacy. His supporters rallied behind him, their outrage fueled by his fiery rhetoric. Mar-a-Lago, once a symbol of Trump's wealth and extravagance, became a battleground in a high-stakes legal and political drama. The stakes were clear. The outcome of this clash would have profound implications for the future of American democracy. The scene inside Mar-a-Lago was surreal. Agents meticulously combed through the sprawling estate, their search leading them to a treasure trove of classified material. The documents, some marked top secret, were found scattered throughout the property in storage rooms, offices, and even, astonishingly, in Trump's personal bedroom. The sheer volume of classified material recovered was alarming. The National Archives, tasked with preserving presidential records, had been engaged in a protracted back and forth with Trump's team for months, seeking the return of documents they believed had been improperly removed from the White House. The discovery at Mar-a-Lago suggested a level of disregard for the handling of classified information that was deeply troubling. The details of the document's contents remain largely shrouded in secrecy. The Justice Department, citing national security concerns, has been tight-lipped about the specific information contained within them. However, sources have suggested that some of the material pertained to highly sensitive intelligence gathering operations and the nuclear capabilities of foreign countries. The presence of such sensitive material in a location as seemingly insecure as a private residence raised serious questions about potential security breaches. Had foreign adversaries gained access to these secrets? Had Trump's handling of these documents compromised ongoing intelligence operations? The implications were chilling. The legal battle lines were drawn swiftly. Trump, through his lawyers, argued that he had declassified the documents in question while still in office. They claimed that a president has broad authority to declassify information and that Trump had taken the necessary steps to do so. However, they provided little evidence to support these assertions. The Justice Department countered that Trump's claims of declassification were dubious at best. They argued that there was a formal process for declassifying documents, a process that involved multiple agencies and meticulous record-keeping, none of which, they contended, had been followed in this case. At the heart of the legal dispute was the Presidential Records Act, a law designed to preserve the records of a president's time in office. The act makes it clear that presidential records belong to the government, not the individual who served as president. Trump's lawyers argued that the act gave the former president broad discretion over the handling of his records. The Justice Department, however, maintained that the act did not give Trump carte blanche to remove or retain classified material. They argued that the act was intended to ensure transparency and accountability, not to shield a former president from potential wrongdoing. The case took a dramatic turn when a federal judge in Florida, Aileen Cannon, sided with Trump's request to appoint a special master to review the seized documents. Judge Cannon, a Trump appointee, ruled that a special master was necessary to determine whether any of the documents were protected by attorney-client privilege or executive privilege. The Justice Department vehemently opposed the appointment of a special master, arguing that it would needlessly delay their investigation. They contended that executive privilege, which shields certain presidential communications from disclosure, did not apply in this case, as Trump was no longer in office. Judge Cannon's ruling was widely criticized by legal experts, who saw it as an example of judicial overreach. They argued that she had no legal basis for intervening in the case, and that her ruling set a dangerous precedent by allowing a former president to dictate the terms of an investigation into his own conduct. Despite the criticism, Judge Cannon's ruling stood, at least temporarily. The Justice Department appealed the ruling, setting the stage for a protracted legal battle that threatened to drag on for months. As the legal battle over the special master played out, a separate but related drama was unfolding in a Washington, D.C. courtroom. Judge Beryl Howell, who oversaw the grand jury investigation into the January 6th insurrection, issued a series of rulings that dealt a blow to Trump's attempts to shield his actions from scrutiny. In a significant victory for the Justice Department, Judge Howell ruled that Trump could not assert executive privilege over the testimony of his former aides. This ruling opened the door for prosecutors to compel testimony from key witnesses who could shed light on Trump's actions leading up to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Judge Howell's rulings underscored the limits of executive privilege, particularly for a former president. She rejected Trump's arguments that his communications were protected, finding that the need for transparency and accountability outweighed any claims of privilege. The rulings from Judge Howell stood in stark contrast to those of Judge Cannon, highlighting the inconsistencies and potential for partisan bias within the judicial system. While Judge Cannon's rulings seemed to favor Trump, Judge Howell's rulings emphasized the importance of upholding the rule of law, even when it came to a former president. As the legal battle raged, the spotlight also fell on the lawyers who had chosen to represent Trump in this high-stakes drama. Some, like Alina Habba and Jim Trusty, became familiar faces on cable news, fiercely defending their client and echoing his claims of a witch hunt. However, Trump's legal team also faced scrutiny, with questions swirling about their competence and judgment. Critics pointed to their often contradictory statements and their apparent willingness to embrace Trump's baseless claims of election fraud. The Justice Department's investigation also extended to some of Trump's lawyers, with prosecutors examining whether they had played a role in obstructing the government's efforts to recover the classified documents. The possibility of lawyers being implicated in potential criminal wrongdoing added another layer of complexity to an already tangled web. The involvement of lawyers in the Mar-a-Lago drama underscored the high stakes and the potential legal jeopardy faced by those who chose to align themselves with Trump. It also highlighted the ethical dilemmas faced by lawyers tasked with representing a client who seemed determined to test the limits of the law. The Mar-a-Lago scandal, with its mix of classified documents, legal wrangling, and accusations of wrongdoing, evoked memories of past political scandals that had shaken the foundations of American democracy. The Watergate scandal, which brought down President Richard Nixon, involved a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters and a subsequent cover-up that reached the highest levels of government. The Iran-Contra affair, which plagued President Ronald Reagan's second term, involved the secret sale of arms to Iran in exchange for the release of American hostages, with profits from the sales being diverted to fund anti-communist rebels in Nicaragua. Both scandals involved abuses of power, obstruction of justice, and a disregard for the rule of law. The Mar-a-Lago scandal, while distinct in its specifics, shared some striking similarities with these past scandals. Like Watergate and Iran-Contra, it involved allegations of a cover-up, with Trump and his allies seemingly going to great lengths to obstruct the Justice Department's investigation. The Mar-a-Lago scandal also raised questions about the abuse of power, with Trump accused of using his position for personal gain and of putting his own interests above those of the country. The echoes of past scandals served as a stark reminder of the fragility of American democracy and the importance of holding those in power accountable. At the heart of the Mar-a-Lago scandal lay a fundamental question. Had Trump's handling of classified documents jeopardized national security? The Justice Department, in its legal filings, argued that the potential damage to national security was significant. They pointed to the sensitive nature of the documents and the fact that they had been stored in an unsecured location. Intelligence experts also weighed in, expressing alarm at the potential for compromise. They warned that foreign adversaries could exploit the situation, using the leaked information to gain an advantage over the United States. The potential consequences, they argued, were far-reaching and could have a lasting impact on national security. The Justice Department's investigation into the handling of the classified documents was ongoing, and it remained to be seen whether Trump or anyone in his inner circle would face criminal charges. However, the potential damage to national security had already been done. The trust that the intelligence community relied upon had been shaken, and the reputation of the United States on the world stage had been tarnished. The Mar-a-Lago scandal served as a stark reminder of the importance of safeguarding classified information and the potential consequences when those entrusted with this responsibility failed to live up to their obligations. It also highlighted the need for a robust system of accountability to ensure that those who violate the public trust are held responsible for their actions. The Mar-a-Lago scandal cast a long shadow over American politics, deepening the partisan divide and fueling mistrust in institutions. Trump and his allies continued to denounce the investigation as a witch hunt, their rhetoric further inflaming tensions and undermining faith in the justice system. The scandal also raised troubling questions about the future of American democracy. If a former president could operate with such blatant disregard for the law, what message did that send to the rest of the world? The implications were far-reaching, potentially emboldening adversaries and undermining America's standing on the global stage. As the legal battle dragged on, a sense of weariness settled over the nation. The constant drama, the accusations, the denials, it all felt exhausting, a never-ending cycle of outrage and division. The Mar-a-Lago scandal, far from being a singular event, felt like a symptom of a deeper malaise, a reflection of a nation struggling to come to terms with its own divisions. The scandal served as a stark reminder of the fragility of democratic norms and the importance of upholding the rule of law. It also highlighted the dangers of political polarization and the corrosive effects of misinformation. In the aftermath of Mar-a-Lago, the task of rebuilding trust and restoring faith in institutions seemed daunting but essential for the health of American democracy. The Mar-a-Lago scandal left the nation grappling with uncomfortable truths about itself. The political climate was more polarized than ever, with each side retreating further into its own echo chambers, fueled by a steady diet of misinformation and partisan rhetoric. The scandal also exposed the deep fissures within American society, the fault lines running along racial, economic, and ideological divides. These divisions, long simmering beneath the surface, had been exacerbated by years of political rhetoric that demonized opponents and stoked fear and resentment. In the wake of the Mar-a-Lago raid, these divisions were on full display. Trump supporters rallied behind their leader, denouncing the Justice Department's actions as politically motivated and an assault on their values. Opponents, meanwhile, expressed outrage at Trump's actions and his continued attempts to undermine the rule of law. The Mar-a-Lago scandal, far from being a unifying moment, served as a stark reminder of just how divided the nation had become. It underscored the challenges facing American democracy as it grappled with these deep-seated divisions and the erosion of trust in institutions. The path forward remained unclear, but one thing was certain: the stakes had never been higher.